Hey folks, it's Finn. Bit of a serious video for me this week because it's time for a mental health catch-up. Before we start, two warnings. One, this video is probably not going to have much structure. It's going to be me just rambling and going blah, blah. And two, I'm also going to talk very frankly about my private parts. So if you do not want to listen to that, please do navigate away. If you've been watching my videos, you'll know that at the moment my mental health is not in the best of states. Mainly due to the fact that I had some surgery that went slightly off plan, shall we say. And if you're not aware of this, I can link to a video to give you more info on that. So, this procedure of being unhooked has really knocked me sideways. I was really low anyway because of all the ups and downs of surgery, but in this final surgery and leaving me unhooked, i.e. peeing from underneath rather than out of my penis, I have had the most massive increase in dysphoria and I just can't believe it. It's a massive kick in the teeth. I was in a place where I was pretty much dysphoria free, especially in terms of the physical sense anyway. And so to now be back in the thick of dysphoria land, it's just awful. It's like somebody giving you the winning lottery ticket and then saying, oh, actually, no, you can't have it. Now, if you didn't know you could have the lottery ticket in the first place, it wouldn't be as bad. But then to be given it and taking it away again, it's awful. And that's exactly how this feels. It's like, now I know that this dysphoria-free place exists, to have been exiled from it is just really, 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 really painful. Really painful. Before we go on, I need to clarify for anybody watching that isn't aware, gender dysphoria is not in itself a mental health diagnosis. But of course, because of the distress it causes, you get mental health issues alongside, like I'm experiencing right now. I knew this was going to have an impact, but I have been surprised at just how intense it is in every single way imaginable. My anxiety is through the roof because I'm so afraid to be in male spaces now. Using the toilets again is just horrible because I'm having to go to a cubicle and sit. And the way my wee sounds when it comes out sounds different than it used to. Oh my god, it's stuff that, you know, I'm laughing at because I know that it's not real, it's not logical, but dysphoria is not logical, you know. My therapist friend likened dysphoria to trauma, and right now I can absolutely see where that link is because of course, I don't look any different. Nothing's different about me other than I've moved from standing to pee to sitting to pee, and yet the distress that this has caused is immense. And that makes sense if you look at it in terms of trauma because I'm being triggered to past events. Sitting down on the toilet was a time where, you know, I wasn't being read as male correctly and I'd feel really uneasy and unsafe and unwelcome in public spaces that were male orientated. So it's flashing all back to that. I mean, none of this is conscious, of course. It's all in my body. My body is having reactions to these things. And even though my head's going thin, it doesn't matter. Blokes do sit. It doesn't stop you being a bloke just because you're sitting. It's still triggering it. Everything's triggering it. Now, this is where it comes to the TMI part. As I've said before, I was expecting a little hole to weed out. They've made a slit. There is no denying that it looks very much like old stuff down there right now. It's hell. And of course, I'm not even keeping track. I'm 5 or 6 weeks post-op, something like that. So I'm having to use a mirror and check it's all okay. I want to throw up every time I see it. There's a smell coming from it. There's nothing wrong. But of course, open areas have smells. And I used to have them when I had female parts, that kind of smell. You know what I mean. I hope I'm not causing an offence here. But you know the way those kind of areas smell. Now, ages ago, I made a video about not even knowing if I wanted my bat cave closed. I was very scared about it, mainly because it felt very final and I was scared and what if I was wrong and all of that. And then having my bat cave closed has just been amazing. Dysphoria is a strange thing in that you live with it for so long that you often don't even realise that what you're feeling is that dysphoria. And it was the case for me. When they closed everything up down there, I suddenly felt amazing. I had no idea that it was that possible to feel that comfortable with my downstairs bits. To suddenly have a completely dry and tidy area was amazing, and I realise now that I had far more dysphoria around that area than I even thought I did. And so for that to be open and wet and have this smell again, it's just triggering all the time, and I can smell it all the time. And even when I move, it all feels very different down there. Sorry, TMI, but things are sticking. You know, and so all of these sounds, smells, feelings are just triggering this amount of dysphoria that just makes me want to collapse in a heap on the floor and just not go out. Not move, not do anything, not go out. Wake me up when someone's fixed me, please. That is where it's taken me. It's hell. It's really, I'm laughing because, you know, you've got to. But it really, 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 really is hell. Now, I'm very emotionally aware. I work very, very hard at my daily program of mental health recovery and all of that. But I can't magically use logic to get myself out of this. I know that I'm not the only person that has this issue. Lots of guys have this issue where they need to be unhooked. I'm not special and different. I know that it's only temporary, and most of the time these re-hooking up procedures go fine and you're issue free. I know that. I know it's temporary. I know all of these things, but these things do not stop me having dysphoria. No matter what I do, I am not able to think myself out of this, because dysphoria does not respond to logic, because dysphoria is not logical. I know I'm a bloke. I know that what's down there is not a vagina. I know that absolutely. I also know that this isn't a real spider. I know it's made of rubber, but it darn well looks like a real spider, and it scares the hell out of me. It's exactly the same with what's down there. I know it isn't really a vagina, but it damn well looks like one. And so because it does, it brings up this awful amount of gut-wrenching, stomach-churning anxiety where you just, there's nowhere to go, you know. It's not like anything else where you can just kind of escape when something's upsetting you. The upset is coming from me. It's inside me. I can't do anything. I can't crawl out of myself. I can't get away. It's the most frightening, claustrophobic feeling in the world when you have huge amounts of dysphoria. And of course it's making me want to drink, self-harm, eat stupidly, all of these things, and it's taken so much mental effort just to keep myself well. In the last few weeks, it's become easier as I've allowed myself to just say, you can't be logical. You have these feelings, you can't think yourself out of them. You've just got to accept that they're there right now. And rather than kicking myself about not being able to do something about it, start taking care of myself. I mean, when you have a broken leg, you know that it's temporary. You know you're not the only one in the world that's had a broken leg. You know it'll mend in time. But you don't try and then make yourself logic yourself out of that broken leg. You accept that you have that broken leg at this time, that it's really limiting what you can do, the amount you can move, where you can go, how you can use your body, and then you just have to put stuff in place to take care of yourself while it heals. Don't get me wrong, it does of course help to remember that this is not permanent and that I'm not alone. Of course that helps, but not when I use it as a rod to beat myself with. I have to acknowledge that it is going to pass, but that at the moment I also have to acknowledge that while it's not passing just yet, it is painful. And so the effort I can put in instead is just making myself as comfortable and as safe as I can whilst this is happening. How that's looking for me at the moment is just to simplify everything. I've stopped all my volunteer work apart from one. I still do my facilitating support work because that's only every 6 weeks. So that's not too bad. I've got study to do. My exam is in June. Once that's done, I'm off till October. So between now and June, all I'm doing is studying, AA meetings, keeping myself safe, simplifying everything else so that there's as little pressure on me as possible, and then I can just literally on a day-to-day basis wake up and go, okay, how am I feeling today? What can I do today? What can I leave out today? You know, and thinking about it in a balanced way like this. I'm in regular contact with my GP. She's actually swapped me onto some new antidepressants because I was on citalopram for a long time, and she said rather than up them, let's try changing them and just see what happens. She's trying me on sertraline, and I've been on it a month. Can't actually say I feel any different at the moment, but I think dysphoria is going to have such a huge impact on everything that it's going to be really hard to remove much of the depression or anxiety at the moment. All I can really do is manage it. So for that reason, I've also asked for some more additional therapy, some talking therapy, because I just need somewhere to go every week. It doesn't have to be somebody that's really specialised in gender, just someone I can go to and kind of offload a lot of this stuff, because it needs to come out. It needs to just come out. And I think as long as I have a safe place where I can keep talking about this stuff, then I can manage it whilst I'm waiting to go through the process of being fixed. So why am I telling you all this? Well, mainly because you lot are lovely. This is a place where I can share everything very honestly and openly, and you're all very understanding and very supportive, and I'm so incredibly grateful of that. But also because I think it's really important to share the truth of this journey, that it is really tough at times. You know, I still stand by what I always say, that even now with all of this going on, my life now is so much better than it was back then, and holding that in mind helps. But it still is a really tough journey, and it's not always a really straight road out of dysphoria. Sometimes that road doubles back on itself and you end up suddenly back in the middle of the thick brambly bushes of dysphoria forest, and it's really, really unpleasant. So I like to share really honestly so that people can be as prepared as possible for this. And by prepared, I don't necessarily mean prepared with the skills to kind of work your way out of that dysphoria like I'm experiencing right now. I can't just rationalise myself out of this. It is how it is. Just with a broken leg, I can't reason myself out of it. I've got to accept my limitations, but take care of myself so that that broken leg can heal. So for the moment, that means setting up camp in Dysphoria Forest and just making that camp as comfortable as I can whilst I wait to heal. So, not the most positive of videos this week. I'm sorry about that, but a very honest one. And in some senses, it is actually positive, because a few weeks ago I was really distressed and really frightened about that. Whereas now I'm really distressed, but I have more focus about it. I know what I'm doing. I'm more in an accepting place of where I am with it. Acceptance doesn't mean you just give up and don't do anything. It means realising your limitations and working around them. So I want to challenge the anxiety. I don't want to be allowing myself just to stay indoors and let it get worse. But again, it's with balance. And so I've come up with the idea of setting myself a bit of a challenge to do some walks around the coast. And I'll put a link up to that here. And that's going to then give me a bit of excitement to get outdoors and a bit of a reason to get outdoors. So it's little things like that. So it is positive. I'm not great, but I'm actually in a lot better space about being not great than I was a few weeks ago. So yeah. I have an appointment with Mr. Christopher coming up in a few weeks' time, and I will update about lower surgery after that. But I'll of course keep you up to date, as always, with mental health and everything else. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your support and advice around this. I really, really do value you all. I really do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for the first coastal walk. Oh yes, it's really happening. Take care of yourselves. Have a good rest of week and weekend.